To take the opportunity to kind of recap and go over our fantastic charity dies that you may have seen over the past year, that we kind of brought them out at the start of the pandemic to kind of boost all of your spirits and obviously give back to some amazing charities. And I just kind of want to retouch on them again, show you guys how fantastically versatile they can be and how you can use them not just in a pandemic situation but all year round, and how you can kind of mix them into your crafting stash. So these are the two dies, and I'm going to focus on them kind of individually. So I'll show you this one first. This one is Good Vibes. Now this one is a fantastic one for all your sentiments. I'm going to take it out of the packaging so you don't get the glare as much. So you can see we've got loads of really positive phrases on there. Some obviously are more suited to the kind of situation that we've been in the past year. I know we're still carrying on, we're still in that situation, so these will still be relevant. So things like stay home, stay safe, better days ahead, we're all in this together, things like that. But a lot of them are kind of generic and you can take little bits from each. So you've got the smile there and the sending love and hope. You could have sending smiles or things like that. Thank you is always obviously a very versatile sentiment. Positive vibes, you got this. It's just a really nice general sentiment die set. As you can see, they're all on their individual pieces of metal, so you've not got little tiny letters filling around in your collection. A few of them are kind of joined up like calligraphy style, like the thank you, and a few of them are kind of separate, like the sending love and hope. So it just depends on what you want to use, and obviously if they are separate you can take the letters individually and you could even spell out names and things like that if you really wanted to. So that is the Good Vibes die set, and then to go along with it we also have the rainbow die set. Again, I'll take it out of the packaging. This one is really super cute. You've obviously got the rainbow and the little clouds and then the rain droplets, and you can add your little face to the clouds as well. So if I just turn it over just to show you, that rainbow is quite large, and what I love about this rainbow is when you cut it out, it kind of cuts out like a stencil, and you can use the positive as the sort of parts of the rainbow, or you can use it as a negative, which is super, super handy. And then you've got all those little elements as well. So just to reiterate, the charities that we are gifting to when you guys purchase these dies are the Trussell Trust and, I'm reading upside down, Action Against Hunger. I knew that. So it's £7 or €7 from your purchase will go towards those charities, but if you're in the US, it is Feeding America, who we are supporting over there. So yeah, it's a fantastic cause, guys, and there's some gorgeous dies, and they're really, really versatile actually, not just for the kind of period that we are going through or have gone through over the past year and a half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a make using those, and to start off with I'm going to bring in a piece of white card. So you can cut your white card down to pretty much any size that you want, but you kind of want to have a kind of oblong or rectangle shape. So you want it longer up the side, up the fold, and shorter across the bottom. You can make it taller than mine if you wanted to, but just a plain white card. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a sort of curved line, keeping it higher at the top on the fold and lower down the bottom. So kind of like that. You don't have to do anything fancy. And then I'm going to cut along that line, okay? So just taking your scissors and just cut along that line. And you're going to see why I'm doing this in a second. So you've got something like that. That's why we've gone with the oblong shape, because we've ended up cutting quite a lot off at the top. So you want enough space where you've got space at the bottom as well. So that's our card base, and I'm going to pop that to one side for a second. And then I'm going to bring in that rainbow die. So I'm going to use the cloud element from the rainbow die, and I'm going to cut that with some white cardstock. So again, just plain white cardstock that I used for the card base, and you can cut several out from white cardstock. And then what I want to do as well is I want to cut it out from some stencil film. Now our stencil film comes in A4 sheets, and I believe there's 10 in each pack. Sorry, I just realised I said stencil film. This is shrink plastic. No, I meant shrink plastic. I apologise, they look very similar, but our shrink plastic is a lot thicker and it's shiny on one side, and I'm going to show you why I'm going to use shrink plastic, because I'm going to shrink some of them down using some heat. I had a bit of a brain meltdown there. So yeah, our shrink plastic, it's still A4 sheets, it's still 10 in a pack, and it is slightly thicker, so we're not going to create stencils with it. We are going to cut it out, and then I'm going to shrink some of them down, and I'm going to keep some of them full size. So I'm going to cut one of those out using our machine, just to show you. With shrink plastic, because it's a little bit thicker, I tend to use more simple dies to cut with, so this cloud will work fine because it is quite a simple shape. And I'm just going to pop that through my machine. There we go. And pop that out, and there you go. It's actually cut perfectly fine because it's quite a basic shape. If you're cutting like really intricate designs with the shrink plastic, you're probably not going to get a fantastic clean cut, so just bear that in mind, just stick to those kind of simple shapes. So with the shrink plastic, it's shiny on one side and it's matte on the other, and if you cut out a few of them, I'd probably keep a couple as the size that they are and flat, and that's what I'm going to do with most of them. And then a couple I'm actually going to shrink down as the name suggests. So what you want is you want like a silicone mat underneath, and then we're going to use our heat tool. And actually this silicone mat is part of our shrink plastic accessory kit, which comes with this handy mat and the kind of silicone tool. I think we at Sizzix, like Pete calls it a stomper. I don't know if that's a official name, but that's what we call it here. And it really helps when you are using shrink plastic because it gives it room to shrink down and shrivel up and then flatten back down, and then we can stomp it using that. And it means that it's not going to fly everywhere because we've got that mat holding it down. So using your heat tool, you can pop it on the highest setting, that's absolutely fine. And we're going to apply some heat and you'll see it kind of shrink up, okay? And just keep going until you kind of see it start to lift up, and don't worry, it looks like it's never going to go flat again, but just keep going with the heat and it will kind of correct itself and end up going flat pretty much by itself. I think I've got it all. And then just, if it's stuck to your mat a little bit, just press it down and then just stomp it flat with your tool. And then you have your little cloud. So you can see obviously the size difference, that's how it started and that's how it ended up. So that's why I think the shrink plastic is great, because you kind of get 2 for 1 in the sizes of your die, because then I can use both sizes throughout my make, which is super, super handy. So bringing back my card base and all the clouds that I pre-cut before, we're going to kind of create a cloud scene along that curve. So using just our express glue, just going to make sure that's all good. And I'm going to start to build these up. So just pop in some glue. And I'm going to overlap that one off the edge because I think I'm going to cut that off anyway. And then I can start to arrange them along that curve. Okay. And you can kind of play around with this and see how you like it. And I actually like these stencil film ones kind of slightly behind, so you can kind of see the opaque or the translucent, effect. And you can have them on the matte side or the shiny side. I quite like the matte side because I think it looks like kind of frosted. And you can keep building these up like so. And we could also use foam tape to raise some of them up. So just got some foam tape so you can play around with your dimension as well. And kind of keep going with these. And then I'm going to bring in one that I've kind of done, almost finished. So as you can see, we've got those clouds. I've just got a couple more to stick down. So I'm going to stick this one down, I think, because I wanted that one slightly underneath. And don't worry about if you've got glue through the shrink plastic, it will dry. and it will dry clear. And then I've got these little tiny baby ones which I'm going to glue on as well. So these are the ones that I've shrunk down. And this express glue should stick them down perfectly fine. And you can kind of play around with where you want them. And like I said, whether you want them shiny side up or whatever you prefer. I'm going to put that one just there. Okay, and you could go to town and keep going and do as many as you want, but that's the kind of outcome that you want to achieve with the clouds. And then we're going to obviously add a rainbow to that as well. So the rainbow die, if I just take this off here, when it cuts each strip individually. So I've already cut most of my strips out, and I'm going to cut one more just to show you how it cuts and just show you that you can use the negative side as well. So again, I'll bring in my trusty machine and pop that through. Okay, and you can probably see already like a lot of it has come off onto my plate. But if I just move that out of the way, this is the negative of the die, so you can see how each one cuts out and how there's a little line in between. So that is perfect for using for stencils. So as I briefly mentioned stencil film by accident before, that actually is quite useful because you could totally use this with stencil film and use it as a stencil. I actually use this on my friend's wall. She's having a little baby soon, and we use this as a stencil to create some like rainbow motifs on her wall, which is a really nice use for it. But obviously I'm not going to use the negative today. I'm going to take the larger piece because that's the one that I'm missing, and I've already pre-cut all the others from the other colours. So you just need to cut it just like that from every colour and take the bits that you need, but you could totally reuse these other bits and mix and match them with the other colours that you've cut out. And then we can bring back our card. So I'm going to start with the larger one, and I'm going to pop a little dab of glue on each end, and then I'm going to lift my card up and I'm going to place this kind of roughly where I want it. So obviously you don't want it out here, obviously it's not going to stick, so just inside like so, and then give it a press, kind of make sure that it's not sticking to your card base underneath, and then we can keep going with the other colours as well. So doing exactly the same, just a little bit of glue on each, and then placing it behind and layering them up bit by bit. And it creates a really nice kind of floating rainbow effect. And just give it a bit of a press like this. You could even do it this way if you're not worried about seeing exactly where they fall. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how it would look as you went, but this actually might be a bit easier for you, and you won't get any glue on the back either. So again, just placing that there, and it's literally just following that curve of the rainbow. And one more, but I've gone for quite non-traditional colours really with the pink and this kind of teal colour, the Mermaid Kiss colour, but you could go really traditional with your rainbow colours. You could go pastel, you could go all gold if you wanted to, in different shades of opulent. So that's your kind of rainbow sticking out, and you can make them as close to each other or have a gap in between like I've done as well. And then to finish it off, we're going to use one of the sentiments from the Good Vibes die set. Now, this kind of card, I could use pretty much any sentiment on there. I think this would be a really nice kind of pick-me-up card, so like a you got this card, or a sending smiles card. So like I said, we could use that sending and then the smile separately. There's so many different sentiments you could use for this kind of card, and that's why they work so perfectly together. But again, you could use this just on its own, particularly things like I said, the positive vibes and the thank you. They're so versatile. But I think I'm going to use the thank you today, and all I've done is I've got some gold opulent cardstock, and I popped some adhesive sheet on the back, and I'm going to take my my die. And one last time, I'm going to bring my machine and cut that out. I've also picked this one just because it is joined up. It's like a calligraphy font, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me to place down in a video, and I'm not placing down each individual letter. So then you don't have to sit through that, which could be quite boring. So there you go, that's cut out really nicely. I just rolled it through a couple of times just because I have got that second layer on the back, just to make sure it's perfectly cut. But it should just come away really nicely. Oh, I'm knocking things over now. I'm just going to poke out any bits that I've kind of missed. And you can see how lovely that looks with that opulent. Like, it's such a fine sentiment, such a fine font that actually looks like it's been handwritten. And I'm gonna peel this one away as well. And there we go. Just a really gorgeous, actually really simple, but you've got a few of the techniques in there using that shrink plastic and stuff as well. And it just creates a really nice, fun rainbow card, perfect for obviously saying thank you, or you could change up the sentiment and use it for any kind of occasion really. And I think this would be a lovely pick-me-up for anybody that you're gifting it to. So there we go. So that is the card, obviously, and to reiterate, the charities that you will be donating to if you get hold of any of these dies are the Good Vibes one or the Rainbow one, or both. Like I said, they go perfectly together. So you will be donating to the Trussell Trust and Action Against Hunger. Yeah, I keep forgetting between that one and the American one, because the American one is Feeding America. So if you're in the US and you're buying from the US website, it's Feeding America, and if you're in the UK or Europe, it is Action Against Hunger and the Trussell Trust. It's a fantastic charity, it's a fantastic cause, and it's a great way of giving back but also getting something really amazing and beautiful to add to your crafting collection as well. So if you make anything using these dies, guys, I'd love to see them. Leave an image down below, or if you're posting them on our socials, use the hashtag donate to make. I'd love to see it, and maybe we can spread a little bit of positivity over on all our social media, and some rainbows and good vibes. That would definitely put a smile on my face for sure. So thank you so much for joining me today guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one, but until then, stay safe and keep crafting. Thanks.